In this video, we will show how to link Yowdies together to form albums or Yowbums. So first, let's see how to create a Yowdy to Yowdy link in YowdiShop and build a Yowbum. I have a menu style Yowdy that I built earlier in YowdiShop that we can start with. This Yowdy has no tags or other content yet, so it is really nothing more than an image I built in YowdiShop, but it's a good place to start to get us going with our Yowbum. When you make a Yowbum, it might be nice to give some visual clues to prompt your viewers as to what they should do. I elected to place button images at each tag location I wished them to click. Now I could have simply made the text say, "Click here for family album," and have gotten the same result, but the button was convenient. Let's move into the edit mode and see how these buttons are made. YowdiShop gives you 3 built-in buttons for convenience. These are the previous button, the next button, and the push button. In this example, I used the push button. Now you can add one of these to Yowdy just by clicking on the button type that you want. And this button image will be placed on your image as a scalable, movable subimage. So you can scale it to any size you want, put it anywhere you want on your image. Then you can use a text box to place any text in the button you wish, as "click here." So I'm going to go ahead and delete this button because we already have the buttons we need. And when you have an opening slide to your Yowbum ready, now the question becomes, how do we link it to other Yowdies? Well, it's done with tags. Those are the same tags we used to add additional content to our Yowdies in earlier videos. But tags act differently when they contain a link to other Yowdies. When you make a tag be a link tag, then linking to other Yowdies is all it can do. Any other content you place in the tag, that is, text, voice, image, or URL hyperlinks, is ignored. So when you want a tag to be a link tag, be certain that is all you want it to do. So let's get started and see how easy it is to link Yowdies together to make a Yowbum. First, we'll move into the tags mode and we'll add a tag. Let's just call this tag family. And we'll place that tag over the click here button in front of family album. Now, what I want to do is I want to add a tag link. So I'll simply go with the dialog box that comes up, I'll go simply select a link. Now, under my examples folder that I have here, as you can see, I have several things that I use, several subfolders that I used in the previous examples, but one of these is called Yowbums, and that's where we are now with our main menu. But I have subfolders under there, and one of them is called Family Album. So we'll open that up. And in the family album, you can see that there is another Yowdy that I made, which is the family album main index. Now we'll go ahead and select that. Now, YowdiShop set up a reference link to that particular file, and that's really all you had to do in order to link this main image or main menu to the family album main index Yowdy. So we'll tell it OK, and we'll save that tag. Now, before we move on, let's just do one more for the family tree, and we'll call it tree, and put it over top of our family tree, and we'll add a link to that as well. Under here, what we're going to do is we'll go back up to the Yowbums and we'll move to our family tree examples subfolders. And in here we have another folder called the British Houses. I don't have a family tree of my own, so I used the British monarchy as a family tree example. And we'll open that, and in here we can see that we have a British Houses main menu as well. And we'll click on that. And there, that's all we had to do to establish that link. So we'll go ahead now and we'll save that tag. And I could go on with others of these, but for now let's just leave it at those 2. And now we'll go ahead and we're going to save this main image or main menu Yowdy that now has a couple of links on it, tag links, to subfolder content. And if we move out of the edit mode and go back into the viewing mode, what your viewers would see, this is the way it all would work. Remember, we set up a link into our family album main index with this Yowdy, and if we click here, sure enough, it brings up the index where we can go to either vacations or we can go to the kids. Now, if we go to the kids, I have that link to another sub-image, one for Kyle and one for Sarah. If I click on the Kyle link, for instance, it'll allow me to go to Kyle's graduation. Or I can jump back to the menu, and if I wish, I can jump back even further, back to the kids sub-menu, and go to Sarah. And if I wanted to see what was going on with Sarah here, I could go to Little Girl Jump Grows Up and jump back to that. So many, many, many paths are available to you to take through these Yowbums. And for instance, into Star
Sarah,
Trek.
I put this Yowdy together to commemorate the musicals you were in while...
And we'll stop that. And if we wanted to see what, for instance, went on with Sarah when she did, in her senior year, when she did Seussical.
Senior year, Seussical the musical, and a principal role as the very pretentious and flamboyant Maisie LeBird.
And notice I have a web link on this one, so we could perhaps see what that would bring. Another video that I made. So there was a URL link that was contained on that tag. All of this now, of course, is in our Yowbum for your viewers to page around and view at their enjoyment. If we click on the, notice these bottom buttons now, I could go back to the previous, which would take me back to Sarah's sub-image or sub-menu. But I could also go all the way back home by selecting Home, which would take me back to our original main menu, allowing me to click, for instance, the family tree link that we set up, which would take us to the sub-menu for the British monarchy. And if we wish then, we could go into the House of Tudor. Here are the various kings and queens of that particular period of time, when the Tudors were the ruling family in England. Probably best known of these would be
Henry became heir to the throne when his older brother Arthur died in 1502.
Or, for instance, beyond that, you could see, for instance, Queen Elizabeth, who was also very well.
Queen Elizabeth I's 45-year reign is generally considered one of the most glorious in English history.
And this button here on this particular Yowdy returns me to the main, but it's going to return me to the main. I had it set up so it would just return me to the main of the British monarchy. That is, it would do the same thing as a jump back button, but it gives another path for your viewers to follow where they could jump back to the British monarchy. And if they wanted then to go, for instance, to the House of Hanover, they could do that and hear about, say, King George III.
George III was the third monarch of the House of Hanover.
Or perhaps Queen Victoria.
Victoria became queen because her three uncles, George IV,
and other buttons can always be placed so that I could go back to Stuart, for instance, where it's a direct link back to the House of Stuart, or jump to the main menu, for instance, again, or and then go to Windsor and maybe get a few words about Queen Elizabeth II.
The elder daughter of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth.
So, in essence, that's the way linking works in Yowdies. You can link these things indefinitely. There's no limit to how many links you can have. You can link, and you can build your Yowbums small to begin with and let them grow by adding either new paths or additional Yowdies in existing paths.